Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. Rowan stared at the plastic shopping bag on his bed. He had finally worked up the courage to visit the women's section at the department store downtown, keeping his head down to avoid any knowing glances as he selected a few choice items. Now, in the privacy of his bedroom, he slowly unpacked his first female outfit with trembling hands. He laid out the lilac blouse with ruffles around the sleeves and neckline. The fabric was silky and cool against his fingertips. Next came the black pleated skirt that would fall just above his knees. He had agonized over the sizes, not wanting anything too tight or revealing for his first foray into crossdressing. Finally, he pulled out the packs of sheer black tights and simple black flats. It was a demure, conservative ensemble, but to Rowan it represented a thrilling new world of self-expression and exploration. Ever since he was young, Rowan had been fascinated by feminine clothing and the way it made him feel. He would secretly play dress-up with his sister's dolls, marveling at the pretty dresses and wishing he could wear something like that himself. As he got older, he stole furtive glances at women's fashion magazines, drinking in the images of glamorous models in stunning gowns and chic pantsuits. He imagined how the luxurious fabrics would feel against his skin, how the garments would swish and sway with his movements. Of course, he never dared express these secret desires to anyone, not even his closest friends or family. Growing up, it was made abundantly clear that boys wore pants and girls wore dresses, and any deviation from that norm was strange and shameful. Rowan learned to push down those feelings, to bury them deep inside and present a suitably masculine exterior to the world. But alone at night, he would guiltily scroll through online forums and social media accounts, celebrating men who openly explored their feminine sides. He saw trans women finding joy in their true gender expressions, drag queens turning their personas into art forms, and yes, cross-dressers of all types boldly flaunting convention. Seeing those images stirred something deep within Rowan, a yearning to experience that same bliss and freedom. Building up his stash of feminine clothing was a slow, nerve-wracking process. He started with small, easily concealable items like silky underwear and pantyhose that he could wear hidden under his everyday masculine clothing. The first time he slipped on a pair of pink lace panties, he had to stifle a gasp at the feel of the delicate fabric stretching across his skin. It felt so different from the utilitarian cotton boxer briefs he normally wore, so much more sensual and exciting. Wearing those secret feminine items under his jeans and button-downs was thrilling, but also anxiety-inducing. Rowan worried constantly about them being discovered. What if his pant leg rode up and someone spotted the lacy band of his thigh-highs? What if he had to change in the locker room at the gym and people saw his satin underwear? The fear of exposure was a constant underlying hum, but it was overpowered by the sheer euphoria and rightness he felt when embracing his feminine side. Over time, Rowan expanded his hidden collection to include a few skirts and dresses, never anything flashy. He would wait until he had the house entirely to himself to try them on, spending hours marveling at his reflection as he twirled and posed. With each new item he added, each boundary he pushed, he felt more and more like his authentic self shining through. But as much as he adored his feminine attire, Rowan knew his look was incomplete. The clothes hung awkwardly on his male frame, his unstyled hair and bare face so at odds with the outfits. He longed to learn all the associated skills of feminine presentation, how to apply makeup, style wigs, pad his body for a more womanly silhouette. Online, he discovered communities of crossdressers sharing their fashion tips and tricks. They posted tutorials on contouring and color correcting, advice on tucking and hip padding, reviews of wig and form brands. Rowan eagerly consumed all the knowledge he could, but he knew there was only so much he could learn from videos and blog posts. He needed hands-on guidance from more experienced folks to help him complete his transformation. which is how he found himself staring wide-eyed at the website for Chez Femme, a local salon that catered to cross-dressers and trans women. He had seen it mentioned in passing on some of the forums he frequented, always spoken of reverently as a safe, welcoming haven for gender non-conforming individuals. Their website showed before and after photos of clients, average men entering the salon and emerging as stunning, confidently feminine visions. According to the site, Chez Femme offered a spectrum of services to help people bring out their inner woman. Femme-friendly haircuts and coloring, expertly applied makeup, even full wardrobes and image consulting. The salon also boasted private changing rooms and a secluded back entrance for clients who were worried about being spotted. But what really caught Rowan's eye was the introductory cross-dressing package. For a surprisingly reasonable fee, a person could come in and be fully transformed by the experienced staff, no prior skills or supplies necessary. The package included a feminine haircut and style, a full face of makeup, a tutorial on basic skills like walking in heels, and a loner outfit perfectly suited to the client's tastes and measurements. It seemed like the ideal way for an uncertain newbie like himself to dip his toes into the warm, welcoming waters of public femme presentation. The idea was so tempting, but also utterly terrifying. Allowing strangers, no matter how kind and knowledgeable, to see him at his most vulnerable, trusting them with his deepest secret desires and insecurities? It felt like an impossible hurdle, even as his heart ached to take this next step in his journey. He visited the Chez Femme website dozens of times over the next few weeks, hungrily taking in every detail and client testimonial. The staff all had biographies emphasizing their passion for gender expression and their commitment to making everyone feel beautiful. Each glowing review from happy patrons made the dream seem more attainable. Rowan imagined himself in the chair, watching his masculine features melt away to reveal the pretty, confident woman within. Finally, after one too many nights of tossing and turning, Rowan decided to take the plunge. With shaking hands, he filled out the salon's online appointment request form for their intro cross-dressing package. For his preferred name, he wrote Roey, a cute feminization of his own name. In the space to describe what kind of look he wanted to try, he simply put a natural, professional woman, think a stylish office worker or sophisticated librarian. He knew his tastes ran more demure and conservative, but that felt like a good starting point. Submitting the form felt momentous, almost unreal. He half expected an immediate rejection, some sign from the universe that this was not for him. But only a minute later, a cheerful automated reply landed in his inbox, thanking him for his request and promising that a staff member would be in touch shortly to schedule his appointment. The confirmation email felt like a life preserver tossed to a man overboard. It was really happening. He was going to go out in public for the first time as a woman. The thought was dizzying and surreal. Over the next few days, he had a hard time concentrating on anything else, mind constantly drifting to his pending transformation. True to their word, a Chez Femme employee called him just a few days later, a lovely woman named Simone who put him at ease with her warm, friendly manner. She didn't bat an eye at Rowan's nervousness or his request to come after hours. Together, they settled on an appointment for the following Tuesday evening, giving Rowan a few days to steel his nerves for the big event. Those days both dragged and flew by. Rowan meticulously shaved and moisturized his body, wanting a smooth, hair-free canvas for his first real foray into femininity. He dug through his closet, trying to pick an outfit that was easy to change out of without smudging makeup or mussing styled hair. At night, he lost himself in daydreams of the glamorous woman he might become, picturing the confidence and joy of finally expressing his authentic self. When Tuesday rolled around, Rowan was a bundle of nervous energy and anticipation. He changed outfits a half-dozen times before settling on loose slacks and a button-down, clothes a woman might reasonably wear before an after-work salon appointment. The drive to Chez Femme was a blur. his mind too preoccupied with excitement and anxiety to focus on the familiar streets. Parking behind the nondescript salon, Rowan took a few deep, steadying breaths before exiting his car. His hand trembled as he pressed the discreet buzzer next to the back door. A few moments later, it opened to reveal a smiling woman with artfully coiffed hair streaked in bold shades of pink and purple. She was dressed professionally, but with a young, funky edge, ripped black jeans, a lacy top, and a sharply tailored vest. "You must be Roey," she said warmly, gesturing for him to come inside. "I'm Simone. We spoke on the phone. Welcome to Chez Femme." Rowan followed her through the back hallways of the salon, catching glimpses of the styling stations through cracked doors. Even with the main part of the salon closed for the day, there was an excited energy thrumming through the space, an almost palpable sense of transformation and becoming. Simone led him to a small, cozy room decorated in soothing shades of lavender and cream. A lighted vanity covered in cosmetics took up one wall, while a clothing rack bursting with colorful garments lined another. It was an intimate femme oasis, and Rowan immediately felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. "All right, honey, let's get started," Simone said, guiding Rowan to sit at the vanity. She studied his reflection thoughtfully, tapping a perfectly manicured finger against her lips. Simone draped a soft black cape around Rowan's shoulders, securing it snugly at the neck. "First things first, let's get you nice and relaxed with a little pampering." She tilted the chair back slightly and placed a warm, damp towel over Rowan's face. The heat and moisture were incredibly soothing, and he felt the last bits of tension melting away. Simone used her fingertips to gently press the towel against his skin, concentrating on the forehead, cheeks, and chin. After a minute, she removed the towel and picked up a small pot of pale pink cream. "This is a brightening mask made with rose petals and fruit extracts. It'll give you a nice glow and make your skin super soft." Using a small brush, she painted a thick layer of the creamy mask over Rowan's face and neck, the floral scent enveloping him. As it began to dry and tighten, Simone massaged a citrusy-smelling lotion into his hands and arms, her strong fingers working out any knots and stiffness. Rowan couldn't remember the last time he felt so utterly relaxed and cared for. It was like he had shed the weight of the world along with his masculine trappings. Here he could simply exist, a canvas slowly being lovingly painted into a work of feminine art. After 15 blissful minutes, Simone wiped away the mask with another damp towel, revealing skin that felt unbelievably soft and smelled faintly of roses. She patted a light moisturizer over his face and neck, then guided the chair back to an upright position. "There now! Don't you look fresh as a daisy?" she said, smiling at his reflection. "A little pampering goes a long way. But we're just getting started, honey. Let's move on to hair." Simone picked up a spray bottle and misted Rowan's dark locks until they were damp. Then she combed through his hair, considering the shape of his face and features as she separated it into sections. "I'm thinking a classic bob with some soft face-framing layers," she mused, holding up a lock to test the length against his cheek. "Your bone structure is to die for. A little shorter in the back, some gentle curls and flips. Ooh, you're going to look so adorably chic." The snip of the scissors was oddly thrilling, each cut taking Rowan further from his drab, masculine default. Simone worked quickly and confidently, shaping his unruly mop into a sleek, feminine style that made his angular face look softer and more delicate. As she snipped and razored, she asked Rowan about his journey thus far, listening intently to his hesitant words. He found himself opening up to her more than he expected, sharing tidbits about his secret stash of women's clothes and his hopes for the future. Simone made appreciative noises and offered words of encouragement, bolstering his once shaky confidence in his identity. "There are as many ways to be a woman as there are women in this world," she said, catching his eye in the mirror as she trimmed the hair around his ears. "You get to decide what kind of woman you want to be." And you have a whole community here to support you along the way." By the time she put down the scissors and picked up the hairdryer, Rowan already felt lighter and happier. Simone brushed and rolled his hair into large Velcro curlers, then set him under an old-fashioned hood dryer to set the style. The rush of warm air was noisy but pleasant, lulling Rowan into a peaceful, meditative state. Some immeasurable time later, Simone plucked the curlers from his hair one by one, letting each spiraled lock spring free. She ran her fingers through the curls, tousling and shaping them into a gorgeous, face-hugging bob that flipped out playfully at the ends. A few spritzes of glossy hairspray, and the style was complete. Rowan barely recognized the vivacious vixen staring back at him from the mirror. The haircut completely transformed his face, softening his jaw and drawing attention to his high cheekbones and bright eyes. He looked fresh, stylish, and unmistakably feminine. Giddiness rose in his chest as he turned his head from side to side, admiring the artful cut and the way it bounced with his movements. "Oh, Simone," he breathed, blinking back sudden tears. It's perfect. I love it." "You haven't seen anything yet," Simone grinned, squeezing his shoulders affectionately. She tilted the chair again so Rowan was facing the lighted mirror head-on. "Time for my favorite part, makeup." She considered his features again, tapping a makeup brush handle against her lips. "I'm seeing a black winged liner, some shimmery plum shadow to make those baby blues pop, rosy pink lips and cheeks. You're going to be an absolute doll, sweetheart. An old Hollywood bombshell librarian fantasy." "That sounds amazing," Rowan said shyly. He didn't really know what any of that meant, but he trusted Simone to work her magic. "This is a lot of look for a newbie, so I'll talk you through it as I go," Simone said reassuringly. "We'll go over some simpler everyday options at the end so you can replicate the basics at home." She started by misting Rowan's face with a hydrating setting spray, then smoothed on a glowy primer. The foundation she used was incredibly lightweight, evening out his skin tone without feeling heavy or cakey. A lighter concealer under his eyes and on his chin brightened his whole face. "The key is to use thin layers," Simone explained as she worked. "You can always build up coverage where you need it, but you can't take it away if you overdo it." Next came a sheer powder to set everything, some bronzer to sculpt his cheekbones, and the prettiest pink blush to give him a sweet, flirty flush. Simone spent extra time on his eyes, guiding him to look up, down, and sideways as she laid down a shimmery pale base, then blended a deeper plum shade into the crease and outer corners. "Eyeshadow is all about creating depth and dimension," she said, switching to a smaller brush to smudge a dark, sparkly purple along his upper and lower lash lines. "You can completely change the shape of your eyes with a few strategic shades." The eyeliner was the trickiest part, Rowan trying not to flinch as Simone carefully drew inky black wings from the outer corners of his eyes. She had him open his mouth slightly as she did it, which felt a little silly, but did seem to help keep him still and relaxed. False lashes were glued in place, then coated with layers of jet black mascara until they looked impossibly thick and fluttery. Brows were brushed and lightly filled in to be a touch more arched and feminine. Then Simone brought out a pale pink lip liner, carefully tracing just outside his natural lip line to subtly enhance their shape. The lipstick she used was the perfect vivid rose shade, not too pale but not too bold. She showed Rowan how to press his lips together and blot to keep the color from smearing. A final hit of setting spray, and Rowan was dumbfounded by his unrecognizable reflection. His skin glowed with a youthful radiance, his big blue eyes were mesmerizing beneath wings so sharp they could kill, his full lips begged to be kissed. He looked like he had stepped off a movie screen from a more glamorous era, a coy ingenue or a sassy girl Friday. It was beyond anything he ever could have imagined for himself. "Well, hello, gorgeous," Simone teased. "I knew there was a beautiful woman hiding in there. How do you feel?" Rowan opened his painted mouth, but no sound came out. His eyes began to well up with tears of overwhelming joy and gratitude. He swallowed hard and tried again. "I feel alive," he whispered hoarsely. "Like I'm finally awake after sleepwalking through life, like I'm truly seeing myself for the first time." He laughed wetly and dabbed carefully at his eyes with a tissue. "And I feel beautiful. I never thought I'd get to feel beautiful." Simone squeezed his shoulders, her own eyes suspiciously misty. "You are beautiful, Roey, inside and out. Never let anyone tell you different. This is you, the real you, and she is absolutely lovely." They took a moment to compose themselves, Simone touching up the corners of Rowan's eyeliner where a few errant tears had smudged it. Then she clapped her hands briskly. "All right, enough sappiness. Let's get you dressed, doll. I cannot wait to see the total package." She guided Rowan over to the clothing rack and handed him a bundle of satiny ivory fabric. "Put these on first, a gaff to tuck everything smooth and seamless, and a nice padded bra to give you some subtle curves under your clothes." She pointed to a little changing alcove hidden by a velvet curtain. Rowan did as instructed, amazed at the difference the undergarments made in his silhouette. The gaff compressed his groin into a flat feminine triangle, while the bra gave him small but a perky chest that looked entirely natural. He felt more delicate and dainty already. Simone directed him to the prettiest lavender dress with a lacy collar, nipped-in waist, and full knee-length skirt. Over that went a chic little off-white cardigan to ward off the chill. Sheer stockings and white kitten heels completed the look. As Rowan stared at his reflection, Simone added the finishing touches, a string of pearls at his throat, glittery studs in his ears, a spritz of an intoxicatingly feminine perfume, and finally, a pair of cat-eye reading glasses. "There she is," Simone said proudly. "The classy, sassy librarian of your dreams. Roey, my dear, you are an absolute vision." And she was. From the top of her perfectly coiffed head to the tips of her pedicured toes, Roey exuded eye-catching, head-turning femininity. But it was the joyful, amazed expression that really sold it, that inner light of a woman finally inhabiting her authentic self. No one who saw her now would ever guess she had lived most of her life as a man. All they would see was a confident, stylish, unequivocally female presence. "How do I look?" Roey asked, tearing her eyes away from the mirror. "Like you're ready to take on the world," Simone said with complete sincerity. "Watch out, boys and girls and everyone in between. Roey is here and she is fabulous." Roey giggled and did a little twirl, her dress flaring out enchantingly. She felt giddy and light, radiant from the inside out. No more hiding, no more fear, no more longing for a different life. She was still Rowan, but she was also so much more. She was the truest, most vibrant version of herself. Simone taught her a few more things as the appointment wound down: how to modify her everyday makeup for a more understated look, some basic tips on deportment and moving naturally in femme attire, resources for building her own wardrobe and connecting with the local crossdress community. Through it all, she radiated acceptance and encouragement, the world's most glamorous fairy godmother. As Roey prepared to leave the salon and take her first steps into the world as her true self, Simone enveloped her in a warm, reassuring hug. "I am so proud of you," she murmured into Roey's hair. "So proud and so happy. You're going to make a lot of other people feel seen, feel possible. Thank you for trusting us with your emergence." "Thank you," Roey said, her voice wobbling only slightly. "Thank you for bringing her out of me. I'll never forget this night." She took a deep breath, squared her shoulders, ignoring the butterflies in her stomach, and reached for the doorknob. Roey smiled at her reflection in the decorative mirror. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.